Hello there, Eagles fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. My name is Basil.
I'm Baz.
Pretty boring day today, huh, Dad?
Man, there's a lot going on. That was great.
Yeah, what a great. Eagles didn't really do anything, huh? No. Yeah, what a great day. I don't want to say great day, just a crazy day all around. Not just our team, the entire league. Just unbelievable day. We're recording. What is it, March 11th, 2024, and we're at 7 o'clock at night, so, something could still happen. I don't know when. I don't know if there's really never an end,
Yeah, it's true.
It goes all night, really, but there's really never really happens, of course, all night, but
Right.
We'll see. So we're recording, like I said, March 11th on Monday, so if something happens Tuesday, we'll probably be recording again, but if not, we'll see what happens, but yeah, pretty crazy day. We're going to get into all of it. Yeah. We're going to talk about all the free agents that we got, talk about some other free agency, big stuff around the league. Before we do that, as always, give a little shout-out to our club. The Philadelphia Eagles fan club in Colorado Springs is the club that we are a part of. We watch every Eagles game, and we will be watching the first day of the draft at Frankie's Bar and Grill here in Colorado Springs on Powers and Galley. Please come down and join us if you can. There's going to be some specials and some deals and some I think she's going to be doing the late night menu and everything for us, so be fun. Love to see you there.
Well, it's nice. We haven't seen each other now for a few months.
Yeah,
so we get together before the season's still way off, but we get to talk about some of the stuff that's happened, so it's kind of exciting.
And we get to boo the other teams when they draft that we don't like, and we get to cheer
the commissioner.
Exactly. It's great. It's a lot of fun. So come on down. Before we get into the free agents that we're going to, we really want to just talk about some home stuff. First of all, mention the fact that number 91, guy I got on my chest, Fletcher Cox has decided to end his career. That sounds a little bit darker. He's decided to retire after 12 seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles. Just talk about him real quick. 2012 draft pick, first round, 12th pick overall. You remember 2012 was the horrible year, so he's really been with us through the bad year. You know what I mean? He's been with us for both of our Super Bowls in the last, the last 10 years. Both of our runs there. He went with us. He was with us in 2012 when we were terrible. He was with us in 2015 when we were awful. In 2020 when we were horrible. He's been really through it all. Same as Kelsey and all the guys, but it's important to note these guys. Cox, obviously a Super Bowl champion, one-time first-team All-Pro, three-time second-team All-Pro, six-time Pro Bowler. He was a member of the NFL 2010's All-Decade team.
That's huge. That's gigantic.
It is. And he's a PFWA All-Rookie team. You got any stats or anything like that on him?
I don't on Fletch, but I know you've got some.
I got it. I got it here. Just wanted to check to make sure.
He's got some good numbers.
All-time in his career, he played 188 games, started 182. Now, I know he's up there in games played for Eagles.
Yes.
Definitely, probably top five. I would have to guess. Behind Graham and then, Kelsey and John Runyon's around there and everything like that. Right. But he's got to be top five, top six. All-time, he had 519 total tackles, 70 sacks, which for a interior defensive lineman, pretty darn good. It's impossible to find.
You were talking about that.
I'm like looking up. We don't pay for StatMuse or StatHead, and maybe we should at some point. But you're looking up interior off defensive line sacks all time, and it's just like, oh, we had sacks by defensive linemen. And you're like, no.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. You were on the phone. You were like,
defensive tackles.
This guy, no, he's a defensive end. What about Jared Allen? No, he's a defensive end.
Too much.
Too much. We just couldn't narrow it down. We really wanted to give you the stat. He's, I don't know, 8th overall for defensive tackles for sacks. But
maybe. What was his number total? I could say 150th, 170th all time.
Yeah,
it was tied for 159.
Yeah,
I don't remember. But for defensive tackles, he might be up there. I'd have to. We'll find it one day.
Donald, by comparison, had 113, right?
Yeah,
and he's been incredible. But he's
different. That's not. It's not fair. No interceptions, but he did have 3 touchdowns in his career. Can you?
I remember the one against the Redskins. That was back just
2017
opening game, I think, of the season. We didn't look that good. We should have crashed him. But
he had one in 2014. I think that was against the Rams. I can't remember exactly.
Well, I definitely remember the one in 2017.
He had one in 2021.
Oh, wow.
You remember that one? I don't remember that one.
Maybe that was a short field one. Maybe a 7-yarder or an 8-yarder.
You know what? I think it was 21. It was. Dak got sacked by Javon Hargrave in the end zone, and it fell in Cox's hands. I think that's the one. Okay. So he had 3 touchdowns in his career, which is pretty cool. 16 passes deflected, 16 forced fumbles, 14 fumble recoveries, and his returns, he had 56 yards. Like I said, 3 touchdowns, all fumble recoveries.
And he had a great dance when he scored a touchdown.
He did the – That's right. Yeah. He had a touchdown in a Pro Bowl once, too. Also, I mean, I'd have to look at some other ones, but I would say, in my opinion, and of course, in my very biased opinion, he had the greatest sack celebration of all time. I know I'm being an Eagles fan, but he's on the. He did the on the ground
top 10.
He did the army crawl.
Yeah.
And the point. And I know they loved it when I jumped on the ground at Frankie's and I would crawl.
Clean the floor.
Every single time. I know Ben's bummed. Fletcher Cox was his favorite player all time, so I know he's bummed about that. But he had a great career with us. Yeah. Definitely, of course, no doubt going to be an Eagles Hall of Famer in the Eagles Ring of Honor and whatever it's called, stuff like that. His number will probably be retired, and it'll be up there.
It's funny, we're trying to break down.
But this is where
he is for the sacks. So we can, Hall of Fame. He's top 5 guy in defensive tackles. I think so.
And this is where so obviously he'll be in the Eagles Hall of Fame, but in NFL Hall of Fame, this is where there's a little bit of a disconnect.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's hard because right away we thought, no, probably not. Right. And then I looked up his numbers and I looked up and I saw, of course, what we just talked about, 2010's All-Decade team.
That's a start.
Which means at one point in his career, he was one of the 4 best defensive lineman interior for a whole decade.
Right.
And I would say he was probably the second best in a decade behind Donald.
Right.
There was Sue, he was great, but in the 2010s, he's okay. He kind of faltered a little bit.
No, I agree.
Fletcher Cox was amazing the whole time. You know what I mean? So I don't know. And then Geno Atkins, I would say.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
It's something to talk about at least.
But that decade team really does help him. But we'll see. I'm not too sure about that.
And if anyone knows about who, find a list for the defensive tackles, top sackers, let us know. We did some work, and it was too hard.
Impossible to find.
Yeah, it's fake.
We
don't break it down. It's just,
I'm sure you can get it easily if you pay for StatMuse or StatHead or any of those things, but I'm not doing that. That's BS.
But then I would have read it somewhere. Somebody wrote it in one of these articles. Because I read 10 different articles on him.
Where's the person who has PFF now? Why aren't they screenshotting every page and tweeting it? Come on.
I agree.
Right.
Do some work.
Let's talk about some other stuff. Brandon Graham, he signed with us, of course, a 1-year deal for $4 million on his goodbye tour. Best part about this, it made him his 15th season, which makes him officially, of course, when the season starts, the longest tenured Eagle of all time. Already has played the most games by an Eagle ever, and now he'll even have an extra season to play even more, which is great.
And it's great because, he can play loosely. Just get out there and play. It's not like he's trying to win a spot or
roll all pro. Just go play,
have fun. And really, really help us out, and hopefully coach some of the kids up.
Oh yeah,
we always say that. So
absolutely,
he's definitely got that. Plus, his personality is through the roof. So
yeah, it's great to see it. And it's cool because the story behind him. I talked about Jason Kelsey last week and the story, but the story behind Graham just. It's awesome that he's had the longest tenure as an Eagle because he was the most likely to be a bust. You know what I mean? In his first 3 seasons, he was kind of already chalked up to it. Right. They kept him on, and then come 2016, he started because I remember the sacks were never there for him, the numbers, but he was always every year PFF. Second in pressure rate, second in this, best at this. And the other thing about BG and same as Fletcher Cox, if I can put them together, both great against the run, both great as pass rushers. Yeah. They were old-timey guys who they did everything. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys nowadays, they're the edge rusher.
That's it.
Interior defensive lineman, they only get 2 sacks a year.
And he's not good against the run at all, that kind of player.
That's not Cox and Graham. They were great against both. Yes. And Brandon Graham especially, he just had that great sack dance, of course. Not a good guy. But he'll be back, and it's going to be great to see. Like we said, great story behind him, and of course the Super Bowl, him getting the sack and that makes it even better. Just
for sure,
the guy that
solidified his
our guy
his legacy, if you will.
Yeah. It wasn't a free agent. It wasn't a off the street guy. It was our guy who everyone said was a bust, right? And he won us a Super Bowl. So, okay, I don't get too emotional, but let's jump over to Landon Dickerson. We extended him. Landon Dickerson extended with 4 years for $84 million.
That's a big contract,
making him the highest paid guard in NFL history. Max of the contract will be $87 million with all things entailed together. $20 million signing bonus, I believe. But yeah, making him the highest paid guard ever. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler in his first 3 years, and he has not missed a game since becoming a starter.
Amazing.
So
I tweeted you. I know I texted you something too. He was there's only him and one other non-first round pick that have been in 2 Pro Bowls in their first 3 seasons.
Wow.
He's one of them. Okay. I don't know who the other is. I read that. So
that's because you have to pay for it.
That's well, Well, I mean, I was working today, so it was kind of hard to
know.
stats, but I got enough time to do some stuff. So,
but yeah, it's cool. It's good to see him extended. That was one of the priorities of this offseason, and now it's time to work on Devontae. But yeah, it was a big deal that we really had to get him a new contract.
That's a good thing too. Is the Eagles are using the cap. They just $30 million. It went up, so now they're putting a few of the pieces in place now, and then let's start re-signing some of these big money guys that we got out there that we still need to re-sign.
Yep. So awesome to see Landon's going to be here for at least a long time coming. Next thing, we'll go ahead and now jump into the actual free agents and everything like that. First thing we did, Bryce Huff. We signed Bryce Huff from the New York Jets, 3-year, $51.1 million. This guy's going into his 5th year. Formerly undrafted player in 2020 out of Memphis. And Dad, you have some stats about him.
One of the things I saw about him, he really did not play much in his first year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one thing.
Back in 2020 was a rookie COVID year. Right. Probably rough, but yeah.
But yeah, so he's got, 17 and a half sacks in the last 3 seasons. But the biggest thing about him is his percentage of quarterback pressures and his, he's got 68 quarterback pressures and 312 snaps last year. That's a pretty good number right there. Yeah, that's huge. And then he also has the 21.8% pressure rate as you can go. And he's the number 1 guy last season. So, I mean, I know it's a big contract. It's a lot of money for a guy who's not been a big name, huge sack guy, but he did have 10 last year. He played for a team that's probably not that good. And the Jets really didn't need, most of the time they were down, so teams weren't throwing as much. So, you know what I mean? So that kind of changes how many pressures he can or how many sacks he can make. Because when you're up 21-0, 28-0, you're running the ball. And you're playing in that field up there.
Unless you're the Eagles, then you're throwing a pick against the Jets.
True.
I'd have to see.
Plus, he's playing in that field up there that's just awful.
I'd have to see if was that Huff that was killing us in the Jets game last year.
Yeah, no, we'd have to run that
because that was the game that Lane Johnson had to leave early, and we had Jack Driscoll out there and he was getting killed. Yeah, I wonder if it was Huff. I'd have to look.
I remember that the field up there is awful. The weather wasn't very good that day, but so we made a big signing. And now we don't have to draft, I guess, a defensive end now, right? I mean, in the first 3 or 4 rounds, we can sit back and try and.
I would say
you still have a couple of the defensive ends on the team. Hopefully, we won't trade those guys, but what I'm talking about. But we've still got a pretty good lineup of guys right now, and we'll see what happens. But
let's talk about that part. So obviously, we talked about Bryce Huff. He's viewed as an up and coming player. He's about to be 26 pretty soon, and he's been in the league. It's going to be his 5th year, like I said. So that's really cool. And it's nice because I think he's, we might have just seen the beginning of his prime, or he's about to enter his prime. We hope that's what's going on. For sure. So that's really exciting. But let's go and ask, what does this mean, do you think, for Reddick and Sweat?
Well, I mean, hopefully it means that we sign both of those guys and have an unbelievable rotation.
Yeah, right.
But we'll see what happens. I mean, we were talking about it earlier, and I know Sweaty's on the last year of his 3-year, $40 million, so he's still making big money this particular season. So, I mean, I don't know if we trade him. Hopefully we don't. Of course, Reddick to me is we got to sign him. We got the money. We've already made some moves, so there's got to be a lot of cap. We got to get rid of some guys. Yeah. We made a few signings today, but I definitely think he should be probably the focus. You get him back, and you're just looking good. I mean, you got everything right.
Yeah, obviously we hope to see them both back. I don't know how likely it is. I hope it is very likely. I think they're both great. I think we talk about last season, which is hard because, and a lot of people think this like at the end of last year, like do we just kind of have to forget about the end of last year, like. Usually you'd go, oh yeah, he played bad at the end of last year. Yeah, well, they all did. Like it was so bad that you can't even go. Well, he didn't play well, and he didn't play. No, there was no one. There was no one. Oh, he didn't. He played. No, like it's hard.
Well, we know what happened.
You just discount it.
We know what happened to the defense coordinator, and we got another defense coordinator, and it just didn't work, and it just continually fell apart. And I don't know. I don't think those guys coming back would be amazing. I think they're going to come back even harder than last year. So.
I think so.
I mean, but that's what I'm thinking. It's all a matter of numbers and money and what people offer. But I mean, like I said, Sweaty's under contract, so I know he could hold out, but he's also going to make $15 million this year. Or something.
I can't imagine Howie letting them walk. there's just I can't imagine. I feel like he'd have to.
I mean, I think Reddick's under contract as well, but
he's under contract, but he's not going to.
He's not playing on
that contract. That's
15
contract
or 18 million, but
yeah, Sweat he could, but we'll see about that.
It all matters. Like if defensive ends start getting 10 million a year contract. I know it's not going to happen. I'm just saying
the problem
some
is
of the big names that change teams this year, if they're not getting that big money and the numbers aren't set that high at $25 million a year, players you can only go what the market's going to pay you.
I mean, there were some guys earlier like Jonathan Greenard. I don't know how to say his name.
Right.
We'll talk about him, of course, but he's an outside linebacker, and he got 4 for $76 million. So
right,
it's a little bit over 15.
Yeah,
so that's really not. That's not much, but
18, something like that.
Yeah. Well, wait, am I doing my math wrong?
Yeah. So 4 for 80 would be 20. So
you're right.
4 for 76 would be minus, 19. So.
Okay, well that's not bad either. Actually, what did I say a few weeks ago when I talked about
22?
I was saying like 21, 22.
We're hoping to keep it under 25.
Sweat can't be anything above like 14. Yet. At some point he would be.
I mean, I tweeted you something the other day too, as well, saying not texting.
Not Twitter.
I don't do Twitter, but he's got 35 sacks in his career in 5 seasons. He's played 6, but. In 5, the first year he barely played too. He had to get 1 tackle his rookie year. I looked it up today. Yeah. So obviously he didn't play that often. So in 5 years, 35. That's 7 a year. He got 11 a couple of years ago.
2 years ago, 11.
So we need him to. He got 6.5 last year on that bad team. He could have doubled that easily. So
you talked about Bryce Huff a little bit. We already talked about his stats. Couple pass deflections, 17.5 sacks total. Kind of have to take away his first 2 years. Even last year he didn't start a game. You said
no, he wasn't. He used second and third down rotation. So, I mean, it doesn't really. I don't think that makes a big thing. Some players never start. They come in second, third, and fourth down.
But still, if he's playing 17 games and he's not even playing 70% of the snaps, and he's getting 10 sacks, that's pretty great.
We did see that he did not play that many snaps. At 312 snaps last season. 68 pressures. 312 from what I see here.
That's insane.
So
that is crazy.
Or I don't know. It says 312 pass rush. So I don't know if that means.
Well, that doesn't mean the running game plays.
I think it was snaps. So
probably not because there's no way. There's no way. 312.
Yeah.
There's no way. What's that? Divide by 17.
I don't know. I have to do the math. 20, if it was 340, it'd be 20 a game. So
that's impossible.
It's got to be more than that.
Way more than that. Yeah. That's tough. We're talking about. What is he playing the same amount as Nolan Smith?
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on over to the big one, the big name everyone wants us to talk about. It's still kind of crazy to think. Saquon Barkley came back home to Pennsylvania.
Yes.
I think he's born in New York, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but he
went to high school in Pennsylvania and played at Penn State. Signed him to a 3-year, $37.75 million. A lot of conflicted feelings for many of the fans, even kind of myself. Yeah. Because when they were talking about getting him, I was like, I don't really want him. I might have said it on here.
Right.
I don't know. I don't really want him. I don't think so. I don't think he's washed. I wouldn't say that word. No. But I would say my fear of his injuries is real. I don't. Right. I'm terrified of that. I'm terrified of paying a person this much money. And
for sure.
We're not getting the full usage of him. So that was a little scary. But on the cool side of it, I mean, it's Saquon Barkley. We saw what he did to us many a time back in the day.
Well, he's really not your grinder. He's a big hitter. He's that guy who's 2, 3, 4 yards of carry, and then there's a 65-yarder. I mean, how many times he did it against us? I know in his career, and I got him down for 7 seasons. How many got there? 6?
Yeah, it's 6. He'll be in his 7th.
So it'll be in his 7th season. So 6 seasons, he got 47 touchdowns total, passing and receiving. That's pretty good.
Wow.
So 6 into that is 7 and almost 8.
And so take away a season because one season only played 2 games.
Right.
So let's say in 74 games, how many touchdowns does he have?
47.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. So I also got down
pretty good.
As far as career, 1,201 carries, 5,211 yards. I don't know if that's the same as you got there.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah.
Okay. So then, and then he's also 4.3 average yards per carry, 35 rushing touchdowns in 5 seasons. Yeah. Take away the 1 year that he blew.
7 a year, basically.
7 a year. He came back the next year pretty strong after the ACL.
Big time.
But I don't think last year was not great. I mean,
I remember he missed 3 games last year, and he was dealing with an ankle injuries.
Last year he was 247 carries for 962, 3.9 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. Of course, he had 2 touchdowns against us in the season finale game there. So
Maybe.
I don't think they were rushing. I'm not
I
sure.
think he even had one against us in the non-season.
Okay, so he had three of his 10. But he had 10 touchdowns last year. Okay. 41 catches, which was higher than he had. That's a pretty good average for him. I guess about 40 yards, 280, so 6.8 yards of reception, 4 touchdowns. So I mean, I know we've talked about Swift being an out of backfield guy, but we never threw it to him. So hopefully Kellen Moore works it out a little bit more. I'm sure Barkley's got to be a better hit the block and then get out in the flat, because we needed that last year and it just did not happen. Because once Hurts gets under pressure, especially in those last half of the season, it was just blitz.
Well, they just started running go routes. Everyone. Let's go four streaks. And
so, what are you doing? I'm the same way. When you cheer against the guy his entire career,
I know,
it's kind of hard to turn around and now he's my best friend. I mean,
I know.
So that's going to be tough. But then again, week 3, he rips off a 67-yarder, and I'm going to be one of his top fans.
I'll remember. I'll try to think of him from Penn State. I'll think of him as a new draft pick. We got him from Penn State because when he was at Penn State and he was returning kicks and getting 80-yard touchdowns in the same game, he was unbelievable.
He was incredible.
Big fan of him back then. But like I said, a little bit of confliction there, just conflicted feelings because of the injuries and all that sort of stuff.
But the one good thing you got to look at is now he's played against the 2 other teams in the division.
Yeah.
And he played for the other team in the division, so he knows kind of, especially if they stay the similar defense, and he knows where to go and things and tendencies and things like that. So, I mean, I guess if you're going to getting a guy from your own division is a good way to go.
Sometimes.
Especially when you're talking, about I wouldn't put him as a mid-tier. I'd say closer to a top-tier running back. Hopefully
when he's not hurt.
Yeah, hopefully he can shake it off and come back. And, we still have Gainwell. I mean, but that's really the 1-2 punch we've got right now. So we'll see what happens.
So you want to talk about the Tiki?
Yeah, I don't know much of the story. You can tell.
I was telling him downstairs. He didn't hear about it, but obviously all Tiki Barber, just last week at some point, maybe 6-7 days ago, around that, he went on and was talking about, everyone already knew the Eagles were kind of maybe going to be pursuing Saquon and stuff like that. And he said if Saquon goes to the Eagles, goes to Philly, it'll ruin his legacy for the Giants. It'll ruin his Giants' legacy. And I remember when I heard that, I was like, what legacy? Legacy? I mean, he's never rushed for over 1,400 yards. He's never led the league in rushing yards.
Right.
He's won 1 playoff game in his 6 seasons. He only played 2 games.
2 playoff games in his career, not 3.
I know I'm making him sound bad, which is dumb because he's an Eagle now. But what do you mean legacy? Like, he was never going to have a legacy in New York.
Well, like you said, 1 year in the playoffs in 6 years.
It was last year, not last year, but 22. Yeah.
And, but then again, we look at the offensive line the Giants had. I didn't have time to put together it's bad. It was top 5 offensive lines in the last 5 years, but it was not good. I know they traded for some guys a few years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago, and that didn't work out even. They got a big name player, and it didn't work out. And, as much as I want to say about Daniel Jones, we're not here to trash any of the teams, but, he's not the most gifted quarterback, if you will.
Never.
So, I mean, that doesn't help him either. So, hopefully with the weapons we have and the offensive line that we're building, he'll step right back into where he was.
What legacy?
Yeah, I agree.
And then today when we got him, it was funny. They showed him on. They played the clip on 94 WIP. When they got him, they shared a clip from WFAN, which is like the New York Giants one, and they were all good luck, hey Philly, have fun when he plays 9 games next season.
That's what we would have said.
It was funny
about one of our guys.
That's the funny. It was funny because one of the other guys was even like, just last week you said you wanted to keep him.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. Good luck when he have fun when he plays 9 games. And then Tiki Barber was like, he's dead to us.
Yeah.
He's dead to us. And it's just kind of funny because you're like, what did he do that made you love him so much? I know I'll never understand.
Well, I mean, it's funny because and again, I didn't have the chance, but he has some big games against us. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
Big rip-off runs.
Like 2018, 19.
Yeah.
Big games.
60, 70 yarders.
We were always beating them.
True. That's true. And, of course, we were always up, too. But I'm just saying he definitely was that guy that had that 3 or 4 carries, and then, bang, he would just rip one off.
Yeah.
I know he did. I'll have to look it up and see how many he's got against us.
One more free agent for the Eagles. This happened about an hour ago. I wasn't even really aware of it because I was driving here and you said it. Zach Braun, we signed a linebacker. Not much of a not a big name. He's more so of a depth player, special teamer. He's 27 years old, played in Wisconsin, been on the Saints for 4 years. We're signing him to a 1-year deal. We don't even know the number of it yet, I don't think. It might have been released now, but as we're recording, there's no number.
It's not huge, I can tell you that right now.
He'll most likely be a good special teamer, which is something we always need. Right. And if he's a depth linebacker, if injuries are happening, he's had experience playing. Not a ton of starting, but he's played, so that's good.
Any stats on him? I think he has 2 sacks his career.
Yeah, he had 2 sacks last year and a pick last year. Then 22 tackles here, 27 tackles here, stuff like that. What we want to talk about next is we're going to jump off the Eagles just to end off and just talk about some of the other free agent signings and movements and stuff like that. I don't know what you want to do, if you want to say yes or good or bad or just have a small 10-second talk about each one. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Starting off at quarterback, Russell Wilson, going to be going to the Steelers on a 1-year, $1.2 million deal. Obviously not going to be being paid much because Denver is going to be paying his whole freaking salary.
$38 million.
His whole freaking salary. What do you think of this?
Well, it's good for Pittsburgh because their quarterback now is not good.
Horrible.
Bad pick in the pick, a couple of years ago, they drafted an early pick, and Pickens is just not the guy.
Yeah.
I don't think Russell Wilson's the guy either, but he could screech out some wins. They might go 8-9 this year, just like last year, or 9-8, whatever. But I think it's just a stop gap for them.
Yeah,
and so what? $1.2 million deal. How can you go wrong there? I mean, that's a.
Yeah, I think
Russ has experience.
I think it's a good fit on a team with a great defense. They only need a better quarterback now. They don't really have the best wide receivers. Pickens is good. Deontay Johnson, I think, is there. I don't really pay attention to them much more. I think it's a good fit, but I don't know how much it'll benefit in the outcome at the end.
It's good for the team. I mean, to me, bringing them in. But
I would say, wouldn't you rather be bad right now so you can actually get a quarterback? I know Mike Tomlin's. It's really cool that he's. But Mike Tomlin, I'm going to go off course now a little bit. Mike Tomlin's the Aaron Rodgers of head coaches.
Yeah,
I hear about him being the greatest ever all time. And then it's like, because he has always winning seasons, but what else?
Yeah. It's been a long time.
He's got a Super Bowl, just like Aaron Rodgers. Right. He's the Aaron Rodgers of coaches.
Right.
You hear about how amazing they are.
Yeah.
Well,
doesn't he have 2?
Maybe we should No. The other coach had the one.
Okay. Wow.
Maybe you guys should decide to, maybe you guys should suck real quick so that you could kind of fix it.
That's hard, man. It's hard to
He went a second time.
Oh, gotcha.
Lost to Rodgers.
Right.
Let's move on. Let's talk about Kirk Cousins going to Atlanta on a 4-year, $180 million deal.
It's going to set the quarterback thing way out of whack now. But, Kirk Cousins is what he is. Now he's going to the Falcons. He'll win you maybe 10 games, and then he'll get in the playoffs or on a Monday night game and just be terrible. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is.
$5 million a year.
Yeah, for a 35-year-old
quarterback.
Who's good, but now he's not going to have Justin Jefferson. So
that's true, right?
I mean, I could be quarterback with Justin Jefferson. The guy's the best wide receiver in the league.
So, in Atlanta, he's got some good players, Pitts, Bijan. They have a really good core.
They do.
But
they can't.
I can't believe you'd give a 35-year-old quarterback a 4-year, $45 million.
It's got to be cap friendly in 2 or 3 years. It just has to be.
It's just so bad.
Yeah,
Gardner Minshew, former Eagle, going to Las Vegas on a 2-year, $25 million deal.
So he's not the starter, right?
So they've got Aiden Hutchinson. No, I'm sorry. That's Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell there. He was a rookie. He played all right.
So Minshew's going to be the starter.
I'm assuming they'll compete.
Yeah, I don't know.
But you're paying him $12.5 a year.
I don't dislike him, but he played for us, and we had one of the best offensive lines and he just wasn't good. That was 2 years ago.
Really good last year for the Colts at times.
He did.
He'd go to the Pro Bowl. It's such a broken thing.
He went to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, he did.
Oh my God.
So bad.
That's amazing.
So did
our guy. I hear Baker's getting a $100 million contract. So
all right.
No, I heard that.
I know. Let's talk about a big one. Running backs. Josh Jacobs going to Green Bay. 4-year, $48 million deal.
That's good for them.
So
running back.
So what's 4 times 12 or 48 divided by 4? That's 12, right?
12, yeah.
So it's 12 a year.
Yeah.
They released Aaron Jones, which you kind of expected to happen. It was about time.
Okay.
A lot of people before the Saquon thing, I heard on WIP, they were talking about, let's get Aaron Jones, and I'm like, it's not a. If it's a friendly deal, it's not a bad idea. He's a good depth guy.
Yeah,
if
he disappeared last year, I thought.
He did get hurt a little bit, though. But in the playoffs, he was great.
That's true.
What did he have? 4 touchdowns against the Cowboys?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Maybe 7? No, just kidding.
You're right. He did pretty well.
He played pretty well, and he played well against the Niners too. But yeah, Jacobs going to Green Bay. That's a big fit. A good running back who's explosive for Jordan Love.
A big back too.
Yeah, he's a bulldozer.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard going to Tennessee.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, 3-year, $24 million deal.
So they bringing Zeke back in Dallas?
We'll see.
Well, no. Who do they even have? Oh, they had the kid.
They have that kid that they drafted in the 4th round. His dad works for the team. Remember, he cried.
Yeah.
Vaughn.
Yeah, Vaughn.
Is that his last name or his first name?
I know that's his last name. I think.
Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Wow. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Vaughn.
Anyway, I'm surprised that he left Dallas because they had such big high hopes for him after
Zeke. Yeah. I think. Well, I'm surprised they're paying him $8 because I thought we realized this season he's not a guy by himself.
Yeah, it didn't seem to be.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm surprised. I didn't even hear that.
And then on the same exact deal, our guy DeAndre Swift going to Chicago, 3 for $24 million. I was a little disappointed to see this. I was kind of hoping we'd bring him back. Which it's kind of funny because I think everyone hoped wanted to bring him back, and then we got Saquon, and everyone went, yeah, okay, we're good.
Well, we wanted to bring him back for $5 million a year. We wanted a nice cap friendly.
Yeah,
because he was good. He wasn't fantastic. I forget what he had yards per carry.
1,060.
But how many yards?
Oh, yards per carry.
He's probably in the 4.1, 3.9.
4.1, 4.2. I would say he was higher.
He was great. If we had the same Swift we had week 1 through 8.
In the first 6 weeks, he had like 20 yards a carry, and then it went down.
Yes. So maybe we found what he really is about, or we just didn't throw him the ball enough, and that was one of the things that we talked about again. He's supposed to be this out of the backfield back, and we never threw it to him. So
yeah, and I think you're right. We don't know what their offer was. The Eagles, they wanted to bring him back, but he wanted to test the market, and he cashed in and got $8 million a year.
Well, he didn't wait too long. He signed like 10 minutes into the.
It's kind of like TJ. TJ Edwards last year, right?
I think it was 10 or 15 minutes into the.
Oh, it was right away.
Yeah, let me test the market. I'll sign right here.
How funny was it? Who would have bet DeAndre Swift would be the first running back off the market? Isn't that funny? Wide receiver Gabe Davis going to Jacksonville on a 3-year, $39 million.
So he's the ex-Buffalo guy, right?
Yes, correct. He was the number 2 guy there.
Jumped off a sinking ship, I think. That's all I can tell you.
It's funny because a few weeks ago, Buffalo.
They just got rid of
Buffalo the last 4 or 5 years has been a Super Bowl favorite. In the top 5.
Top 5, yes.
Now it's like, oh my God. Dude, Josh Allen's going to have to play defense.
I don't know what
their quarterback's going to have to play safety.
It's tough to rebuild when you're 5 years into it. And, man, they had everything going for them. They had everything. They had it all. And just every time they just fold. It's just awful.
Yeah, they released their entire defense. Not entirely, but they lost both their safety.
They got their Hall of Famer Poyer. They got rid of him. Ex-Eagle.
Playoffs wins.
I know. I bet you they have a lot of playoffs.
8 or 9.
But it's a shame that the cap casualties and a number of casualties up there. But they got rid of a lot of big players. They had the one other big player. What's his name? The linebacker. I heard him talking about him. Wasn't Poyer? It was the other guy.
Well, Micah Hyde. Was it Micah Hyde?
I don't think so. Who am I thinking of?
Because they also cut Tre'Davious White.
That's who I'm talking about.
Corner,
and he's older too.
Yeah, he's a little.
But they were saying, but he was still really good.
Oh yeah, he's good.
I think Pro Bowl last year. I think.
Yeah,
this year.
Pro Bowl, second team All Pro, something like that.
I saw a little blip about it, but when I heard that name, I thought, wow, that's good.
Next thing we'll go into
corner or safety.
Who?
Tre'Davious White.
Corner.
Okay, forget it.
Actually, to touch on another wide receiver, I didn't write him down, and I don't remember his exact thing, but just because it's notable, he's going to Jacksonville, and my buddy Ben's a Jacksonville fan. Gabe Davis, and then also Devin Duvernay from Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
He's going there. I think the figure was around 4.5 a year, maybe a 2 or 3 year. I can't remember what it was.
He's fast. He's got some.
When everyone was hurt a few years ago with Baltimore, he was really good, but then last year they had everyone back, so he didn't play much. But next thing, not a very notable to us. We didn't have a lot of notable offensive linemen to talk about, but one we wanted to talk about was John Runyon Jr. Left Green Bay going to the New York Giants. So it's kind of a bummer because they even talked about on WIP. I know I always mention them, sorry, but they were talking about they got Saquon. And they were like, "Oh, well, we got to say goodbye to Runyon." And Ike Reese was like, "No, Runyon's still out there. We're going to get him. We're going to get him." Or maybe they were talking about Bryce, but they were like, "Come on, we got to get."
Now Runyon's a guard, though.
Correct.
Right guard.
Correct. Right guard.
So we're already good on the left side.
He's a guard. He's a guard. Yeah. Nowadays, the NFL,
I think he played mostly right side. right?
I think he actually played more left.
He might be,
but he played probably 20 each way. Nowadays, these guys are.
But he's another young offensive lineman with a
27
legacy dad for our team.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I really wanted to see him here, especially if we would have gotten Jeremiah Trotter. But yeah, when I was a freshman, he was a sophomore, and he'd already committed to 17 places. That's crazy. 3-year, $30 million going there. It's kind of a bummer. I was hoping we'd get him, but it's all right. Defensive players, I wasn't going to go through too many, but I got 4 of them here that were notable. Xavier McKinney was the big one. All the Eagles fans really wanted him coming from the Giants. Safety,
that's what we wanted, yeah.
Went to Green Bay on a 4-year, $68 million deal.
Snead, he got
franchise tag, yeah. $19.8 million, something like that.
Jeez.
Christian Wilkins, he went to Las Vegas on a 4-year, $110 million contract, defensive tackle. And then Jonathan Grenard, I already talked about him. He went to the Minnesota Vikings, 4 years, $76 million. And then Chibodi Awuzie went to Tennessee on a 3-year for $36 million.
The funny thing, too, about the cap is, not just trying to get players, but also trying to drive prices up so that team can't keep their guys, right?
Yeah.
I mean, now Snead's making $20 million a year. I don't know what he was making last year, but it wasn't that.
He was still on a rookie deal.
We're talking about, and then you got Mahomes making $2 billion a year. So, hey, man, if we can't beat them, let's price them out of the league. You know what I mean? That's one of the things you got to do. It works out that way. And that's always funny when they start talking about, we want this guy. It's don't say anything. Just wait. Wait for the day. Then call him up and he'll go,
do it on the field.
I didn't even know you guys wanted me. I'm coming right. 15 minutes in, I'm signing. So,
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, so we'll see. Do you think this changes the draft at all? Last thoughts before we say goodbye.
I thought we were going to have to get a defensive end. I thought we were going to have to get one.
Yeah.
Third, fourth round. Same with linemen, offensive line. You're going to always need somebody there. But now that you got Dickerson, Mailata, you got Johnson still out there. You got your center and Cam.
Yeah.
Right guard. We've got
Tyler Steen, probably maybe Sua Opeta if we bring him back. Jack Driscoll's an option.
These guys are all options, and they've all played, and they've all been
established backups
and role time to play. So. We do have that opportunity, hopefully, to start getting the defensive backs that we need.
Yeah.
Maybe get a linebacker that we need. I know it's always hard drafting a linebacker, but I don't know. You always want to be in that position where you're not trying to rebuild the whole team. You're just picking out that one guy and one guy here. And
you don't ever want to go into the draft, and I think this is what Howie has done a great job as being our general manager. It's like we've never gone into the draft needing something, you know what I mean? We need this or we need this, you know what I mean? And that's nice. We've never gone in going, we're going to die if we don't, Now I feel that way right now kind of about the cornerback position. So we'll see what moves we
and we've
make.
Needed to do it for years, and we did draft a couple last year. Third.
And it's true. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe they might be the guys.
Maybe Keely Ringo's the guy, and maybe Eli Ricks is the other guy.
Who's the kid that was the suspended guy? Ryder? Isaiah something?
Simmons. No. Isaiah.
What does he play?
Look, he's a corner.
Okay. So we still need safety.
Isaiah Rodgers.
That's it. So, who knows? He might be fantastic.
That's true. Maybe that's why they don't want to. Maybe that's why they don't want to draft a corner, because he's only in his 3rd or 4th year.
But, I know we're not getting into the draft and all, but, tight end would be nice. Down there, get a top 10 guy in the 3rd or 4th, 5th round.
We're not a 4th, but we get a 5th rounder for a tight end.
We'll
have to do a position soon.
Yeah, but it's still not over yet. So let's see. Like you said, you just went through the whole offensive line, and we've got some guys that have played and have
a lot of them are free agents though. Sua, Jack Driscoll, they'll both free agents. Tyler Steen, he's of course the 2nd-year player, so he won't.
Yeah, but I don't know how much. Sua might get some. Jack, who I thought was great. When we first got him, I thought he was great.
I thought he was a great guard.
Yeah, I don't know why he first started out. Yeah, he was great.
2nd year, he was a great guard.
Yeah.
But they kept on making him play tackle, which he needed to because Lane was out.
Swing, of course, but
he should be the right side of the line.
Right. I agree.
I think he should be starting right guard. I think we should.
He might be, but because Sua might get signed by somebody.
I imagine him getting signed by a Washington or something.
Yeah, somebody's out there going to pay him more than he's probably worth to us, but it would be nice, but it's nice to go into the draft knowing, we've got this guy and that guy, this guy, we don't need this. Now we're back, running back, we've got 2 now, maybe get a 3rd, but tight end would be something I think we really need.
I could see a 6th or 7th round pick being a running back, something like that for depth, a special teamer, something like that.
You never know.
We need to get at least 2 or 3 linebackers.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying first round pick because I'm not a believer in the first round linebacker. I know that's bad.
Well, the problem is they can be hit or misses.
Yeah, well, it's like running back. They're very similar to that type of thing. Where and I know a lot of people have been calling for like Peyton Wilson or.
Right. Been a lot of names thrown around.
I forget. There's another linebacker, but one of them I was like, well, he's going to be gone the first 10 picks. Right. And then Peyton Wilson, I'm like, well, he's a second rounder. Like so we got to make sure you find the right word.
Really, would you like to see us move up in the draft, or would you like to stay where we're at? I always like staying where we're at.
I'd be happy staying where we're at, but I do.
How he always moves up.
There's no way we walk out using all of our picks. We have 8. There's no way you walk out with 8 players. You walk out with 6, 7, maybe sometimes 5, but you almost never walk away with 8 players. That's because you can't even keep that many players. Right. Like, well, why would you trade?
If you're a decent team, then you don't need 10 guys.
So if you can get a 5th and 6th traded for a 4th next year, I can see that happening. We have 3 5ths. So
we'll be trading somehow, somewhere. It always happens.
Always.
But anything else? I'd like to stay at 22.
Me too.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, you're good? All right, cool. Well, if you like our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, comment down below, subscribe, and hit that like button. We'd love to hear your comments and let us know who you think we're going to draft or what you think of these new free agent moves. We'd love to hear your topics and comments on it, who you want us to go get. Free agency's not over. It's not like it's just starting. It's not like it's just done. It's not even started, really. Wednesday's you know what I mean? So we'll see what happens there. But as always, from our Eagles Therapy podcast, all of us here, I'm Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
And fly, Eagles, fly.